Welcome to Lifestyle by SK, where wine, cigars, and relationships create that tapestry of extraordinary experienced people. And so, on today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to choose the right partner for lasting marriage. Now, as I always talk about on the channel, I'm going to put it down here so that we all can see it, so we do not lose focus of what we are supposed to be talking about, but we have to make sure that we are in alignment, that we understand, what's going on. But how do you choose the right partner for a lasting marriage? And if you look back on the videos, of course, I went through a lot of different things. I always like to set the foundation of bringing the man and woman back together to create a foundation for their nuclear family, so that way they can expand their legacy and to continue on their family lineage. Like, that is what we're missing a lot of. That is what we need, and we're going to talk about, of course, a little bit about the statistics and everything today, because I definitely want to get into that. But let's go ahead and talk about a couple of things here, because I want to make sure that we understand. Everybody talks about getting married, but nobody talks enough about choosing wisely. And what this makes me think about is a lot of this happen because it's just not about who makes your heart race. It's about who can you can build a life with. And so let's talk about how do we pick someone for forever and not just for a few Instagram photos. Now, when we're looking at this, we don't we don't marry potential. We marry patterns. And why do I say this? Because you can't build a marriage on someone who someone could be. Okay. You marry who they are right now. That is what you actually see. And then as you go through, you begin to watch their habits, you begin to watch their integrity and their follow through. And so that potential is a fantasy. The patterns are facts. A lot of times, I remember back in the day, a lot of the young girls used to play with Barbie dolls. And what they would do is they would get the Ken, they would get the Barbie doll car, little Barbie doll house that I believe Mattel, I guess was the company, would make. And they would put the house together, they'll put the fence, they had the little dog and everything, they had the car. And a lot of the young girls would look at that and they say, okay, one day I want to grow up and I want to get married. I want to be able to have this nice house. I want to have this nice car. I want to have the nice lawn and the dog and all this stuff. And what they're looking at is they're looking at a fantasy, but they're not looking at the patterns. And so the patterns are, if you are growing up in a household where both your mother and father are there and they're showing you the institution of what marriage is like, we should be able to move towards that point and see, okay, this is what I see that life is supposed to be like. How can I move or position myself to move in that direction? Because when you look at the number of Black women in total, 27%, according to blackdemographics.com, 27% are married. And that number is really low because 49% of them have never been married. And this is just the statistical data speaking. Now, of that percentage that have been married, what we also have to take into consideration is 3% have been separated, 13% divorced, and 8% have been widowed. But when you look at the total Black population overall, 31% of us are married. 31% of us are married. So we have 50% of us have never been married before. Never. 31% of us have. Of that other 50%, 31% of those have been married, 3% separated, 12% divorced, and 5% widowed. That is a problem. And how can we fix that? Well, we can focus on long term alignment. And I've talked about that in the previous episode. But you may vibe right now with the person, but do your futures align with one another? Do you all want to go into the same direction? You may not go into the same field. I'm not saying the doctor's going to marry a doctor's or lawyer's going to marry lawyers, but you have to ask yourself, does that person want children? Or do they want to deal with that? Like, we really have to look into this a different way right now, a whole nother different way, because your marriage and the way that you're looking at this overall is you can't build a marriage, or you cannot build a marriage on who someone could be, but you have to marry the person right now. But as you go through this, the vibes that you all have, whether they align or not, you want to make sure you get with somebody who's going to, of course, align with that. Asking pressing questions, asking what I like to call the prereqs. Do they want kids? Do they believe in saving money? Do they want to build generational wealth? You hear a lot of that going around, or family and faith and family values. Now, generational wealth, money is going to be in every aspect of this, because you cannot live a decent life without money. You are either making money or you are not making money. And what happens is people say, well, we just going to trust and believe that things are going to work out. No, you need to both have jobs. Both of you need to understand, okay, are we coming into this employed? Who are we employed with? I'm talking about W-2 or 1099 if you're a contractor. But both of you need to be bringing need to be bringing an income into that relationship. I don't care where you work. I don't care if the man works on a trash truck and the woman's a secretary at a dental office. I'm not concerned about how much money that you're making. What I'm concerned about is, what are you both bringing to the table? Think about that, people, because you can't build generational wealth without money. You can't build family values without money. The whole purpose of you getting married is one of the reasons is that you both need to be able to bring something of value that you both can expand on to create a foundation for your family. I say that over and over in every episode because it is so important. But when we look at in the relationship, how peaceful is it? You have to have peace over passion, because it's easy for you to love someone when everything is going well, but how do you react when you disappoint them or they lash out, or do you work through it? There's going to come a point in time somebody may lose their job. If your husband lose your job, ladies, will you have his back until he get himself back on his feet? Fellas, if your ladies lose her job, will you be able to encourage her and hold her down until she get back on her feet? For those of you ladies that want to be the perfect housewives, did you state that when you were on the dates with this man? If that man is okay with taking care of everything and want the woman to stay at home, they definitely need to discuss it, because what happens is you don't want to get into a situation where you are so upset that you're having to be inside all the time and you never get to do anything, or the misconception of what you should be doing. But if you all have that kind of relationship, that's good. That's fine. Because, you both, hopefully, you make sure that you both are compatible and you're setting yourself up for success in that manner. But that's a whole nother topic for a different day. But don't just fall in love with who they are on a good day. What you want to do is marry the version that shows up when something goes wrong, because it will come a point in time when something goes wrong. You're going to have to work together to figure it out. Now, when we look at things You can look at it and say, okay, well, charm is definitely a deceptive tactic. Because, ladies, please believe there's men out there that will charm their way right into your heart and don't have any good intentions of being with you or marrying you. Fellas, just as well, you have ladies who will charm their way right into your heart, right into your bank account. But you got to ask yourself, are they loyal? Are they disciplined? Are they honest? That is what lasts. Because characters won't fade with age, but charisma often does. We have to be sure that the people that we are dealing with are there for the long haul. And even when we're looking at, at this, marriage should multiply and not drain you. And you have to ask yourself, does this person support your calling? Whatever your calling is, as I said, the man may be working on a trash truck, the lady may be an administrative assistant at a doctor's office. That's just something that they may do for the rest of their life. They may retire out with that. They may not make that six figures that some of you like to talk about. But does this person support whatever that your calling is? As long as they're not making you out to be something that you're not, that you didn't grow up to be, because everybody's not meant to be it. But can they lead you, ladies, the men that you're dealing with? Can you, when you look at that man that you're supposed to be dealing with, ladies, that you know that you're compatible with, can they lead you? Fellas, can you build with the ladies that you're with? To the both of you, can you grow beside each other? Because the right partner doesn't compete with your purpose, they complement it. And that is what sometimes we have a lot of issues with in relationships is people are so much in competition because they want to see everything that they see going on in Instagram and what they seeing going on Twitter, X, Meta, Facebook, or whatever social media platform that you're on. People are looking at and trying to compete with people that they will never probably meet in their life. But we have to understand, is this what we're really getting into? Because people, a lot of times, they spend so much money on this. They spend so much money on the wedding. I always said, when people spend too much money on the wedding, it likely don't last. But people gonna spend money on what they want to spend it on. Let's just be real about that. However, I think it's kind of pointless to spend so much money on the wedding just for other people to enjoy themselves who are probably jealous in the first place because they never been married. And then you end up getting divorced a couple of years later. But marriage is not just about the ceremony. It is a life, it's a lifestyle. And your partner that you choose will either build it with you or they will break it down slowly over the course of time. But what I want you all to do, if you don't take anything else from this video, as I always like to say, I want you to take your time. I want you to ask the hard questions. Do not settle for sparks when you were meant to build something that lasts. Think about it. Definitely put it in the comments below. I definitely want to hear from you all. Like, listen, and subscribe to the channel. Lifestyle by SK, where wine, cigars, and relationships create that tapestry of extraordinary experience. You have a good one.